Alright, so Hellfire got a cease and desist on their Hellfire trigger, the Gen 2 and the Gen 2 AR. Washington gun lawyer actually broke the story.
This is what it states. This letter pertains to the Hellfire Gen 2 and the Hellfire Gen 2 AR trigger devices manufactured and sold by your company. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives evaluated the Hellfire Gen 2 and the Hellfire Gen 2 AR trigger devices and determined each to be a machine gun as defined under the Gun Control Act of 1968 and the National Firearms Act.
It's unfortunate we're just hearing about it now because the ATF always follows the same formula. So they'll go with a cease and desist, then they start raiding the major companies, then ultimately they go to the consumers. Well, they're at the major companies now.
Distribution center of theirs in Arkansas that was already served with, oh, that's right, a search warrant. That's right. Signed by a federal judge.
If we would have heard about it back in July, we could have taken precautions. Like, I don't know, maybe not have them anymore. So what is the Hellfire? Alright, so you got the original Hellfire. It had a bunch of springs. It went around the trigger. They've had approval letters since the 90s. Anyway, it put a spring at the back of the trigger and put like a piece of spring metal at the front of the trigger, and it made it easier to bump fire. Basically, when you're bump firing, let's pretend this is a rifle. You put it up against your shoulder, and without any tools or anything like that, you just hold your hand like this. You put it in the trigger, and then you pull forward on the rifle. It fires, the recoil will bring the rifle back, it will reset the trigger. Because you're pushing forward on the rifle with this hand, it continues the fire, and you can simulate full auto fire. Well, the Hellfire system just aided you in doing that. They had a really bad problem with marketing. Most people didn't understand how they worked, and there was no clear informational videos explaining it. I ran into the same thing when I played with one. There was screws and adjustments and springs, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. I couldn't figure it out. Well, anyway, they made other models. Then they got the Gen 2. There appears to be 2 different iterations of this. Don't quote me on that. That is not fact. It's just that they ultimately went and started scrubbing the internet of all the videos, so I had to find another video with the guy showing how it goes on. But it appears that they got one where it's got the pistol grip and it's got this piece that's wrapped around it and it has a finger support. So basically you're bump firing it, and then the piece right here on the pistol grip just moves and it makes it easier to bump fire it that way. Still requires technique. And then another one where the pistol grip itself slides back and forth. And then they got a Gen 3, which basically, so this is your receiver, this is your trigger. On an AR, the screw goes underneath the trigger. So what you do is you drill and tap that screw, and you put another screw inside that screw so you can tension it and basically bring the trigger closer to firing, which also aids you in bump firing. Or if you have a really crap like mil-spec trigger and you want it to be a little bit less weight on it, you can do the screw method on that as well. You can also order those screws from Brownells, but Hellfire has them and they're adjustable on the outside. They call it the Stealth. Anywho, so the Gen 2, which is the piece that goes over the pistol grip, that does appear to be the one that the ATF labeled as a machine gun, which is completely ridiculous. So, if you own one of these, there's several different steps you can take. One, you can just hold on to it. Understand, if you hold on to it, there's a good chance the ATF's going to show up at your house and they're going to charge you with a machine gun charge, or they're just going to take it from you. Depending on how things go down, if you want to take on that fight, that's great. I get it. I totally understand. Understand, like, even if you're found not guilty, which you will likely be found not guilty with it because a little piece that goes on a pistol grip is a machine gun, I cannot see any prosecutor convincing a jury of that successfully. They're going to try, though, and it's going to cost you over $100,000 and at least 1 year of your life. That's the national average for federal cases, but it's likely to be as much as 2 years. They're probably going to seize a bunch of your assets. The point is, it's a fight you don't want to take on unless you're absolutely ready for it. Or you can just dispose of it, make some sort of video of it, and give that to the ATF through like a lawyer, or if you can't afford a lawyer, just show them the video, be like, hey, as soon as I found out this was a machine gun, I immediately destroyed it. Those are options. Understand, there's no such thing as brownie points. And even the prosecutors, the police, jailers, and everything see criminals in two different sets. So you have your standard criminal, which is somebody that's been jaywalking, gets caught with a Hellfire trigger, something like that. That's just your standard criminal. Then there's the unidentified criminal. That's the average person on the street that they haven't figured out how to charge them with a criminal charge yet. And then, obviously, the second set, which that's where your pedos go, and if you turn state's evidence or something. Now, I know that you're going to be like, oh, the street code. It doesn't really matter what the street code is. The prosecutors, the police, the jailers, they will all treat you as a subset of criminal should you wind up turning state's evidence. They'll parade you around in front of the other prisoners so they all know what you look like. So if they're ever slipping one day and somehow general population has access to you, it's going to suck. So just understand that. Perfect case in point for this would be, so recently, a company that was selling military surplus stuff bought a whole bunch of Pelican cases. Inside of one of those Pelican cases were a whole bunch of M16s. So what they do, they called the ATF. Did they get a Scout's Honor badge? Did they get some sort of Special Citizen Hero Award? Were they given a thank you? No. You know what the ATF did? They went directly to a judge, got a search warrant, tore apart their property, looking for anything else that may or may not be illegal, seized the M16 so they can get it to the proper cartel that they were originally smuggled out of the armory for, but there was some sort of mix-up and it accidentally went to these people instead.
Now the feds are raiding the couple's storage unit.
Not sure what to do, the couple reported the M16s to authorities. Within hours, ATF seized one box and quickly got a search warrant for the storage unit containing 100 more boxes.
They didn't go there and be like, oh, hey, where's this M16 crate right there? Oh, yeah, yep, those are M16s. I'm going to take those and return those back to the military. No, they showed up with a search warrant and started combing through their life. Likely costed them, probably their distributor, a whole bunch of money. The point is, understand, should you go down that road, you will be treated as a subset of criminal. You will not get brownie points. You will not get any special treatment. Just watch daytime TV. Watch the court cases. Anytime somebody flips state's evidence, the prosecutor will go in front of the judge and be like, well, we were going to do this because they agreed to cooperate, but when we tried to send them into a house full of armed men that we know that they searched for wires for, we wanted him to go in there with a wire and he refused, so he wasn't cooperating, so therefore we want him hit with the maximum penalty on everything. Because he already pled guilty, because that was a part of his little plea deal. I'm not telling you not to go down that road. I'm not. Talk to your lawyer about this stuff. But understand what happens when you go down that road. You will be used, abused, taken for everything you're worth, and then you'll likely get the same exact penalty that you would have gotten in the first place. Should these people have done something different? I don't know. Do I think that they did it the wrong way? Oh, yeah. I definitely think they did it the wrong way. If I opened up a Pelican case full of M16s, I'm not saying what I would or would not have done, but if I would have turned those over to the authorities, I would have did it through a lawyer. I would have taken that Pelican case, I would have dropped it off at the lawyers and been like, here, get this out of my possession, and they probably still would have ran me through the ringer. They probably still would have showed up with a search warrant, dug through my underwear drawer, looking for anything they could incriminate me with. It's that bad. It truly, truly is. Again, check sources on this. Understand what road you're thinking about going down before you go down that road. Anyway, kind of went off in the weeds, but yes, Hellfire Gen 2 trigger systems. It's not really a trigger. Again, this is what it looks like right here. Those are now considered a machine gun. Do what you're going to do. Just do a little bit of research on the possible outcomes before you do it, please. I don't want to see you go down a road that costs you your livelihood when you could have easily prevented it. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you'd like to help support the channel, got my Patreon right there. Also have affiliate links down in the description. Just by clicking on those links, even if you don't purchase what that particular link is for, just clicking on it and doing the Amazon shopping you were already going to do anyway, a little kickback for it because you came there off my channel. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.